Hare Krishna and welcome everyone to online Bhagavad Gita course. We are discussing different topics. We pick up different topics from Bhagavad Gita and then we discuss those as part of our Sunday sessions. And we meet every Sunday at 11 a.m. And currently we are. This is the second session that we are discussing this Chatur Shloki Bhagavad Gita. So there are 4 verses in 10th chapter, which constitutes the sum and substance of entire Bhagavad Gita in those 4 verses itself. So that's why it is known as Chatur Shloki Bhagavad Gita. The Bhagavad Gita, the entire Bhagavad Gita has about 700 verses, shlokas. और वो सारे श्लोकों का सार इन 4 श्लोकों में Krishna has spoken. And in the series of instructions, so these are almost the last instructions that Krishna is giving to Arjuna in the 10th chapter. So Krishna started speaking in the second chapter onwards. When the first chapter, Arjuna speaks elaborately, give various reasons why he does not wish to fight, and prior to him, Dhritarashtra speaks, Duryodhana speaks, Bhishma, and the other Sanjay speaks. And there is a description of army and then Arjuna's reasoning why Arjuna does not wish to fight. Elaborate reasoning has been given. And using this, Arjuna then, after speaking for such a long time, after speaking elaborately, Arjuna gives up his Gandiva. He Gandiva gets drops from his hand, and he's not able to stand on his own feet, and he's extremely miserable condition that he reduced himself into. And then he sit down into the chariot and ask Krishna for help. And then Krishna starts speaking from second chapter onwards. So all the instructions, they begin from second chapter onwards predominantly, and they are concluded almost by after speaking these 4 verses of Bhagavad Gita. So that's why these 4 verses are extremely important. After these verses, the paraphrasing of what Krishna has taught, that will come. Arjuna, now after these 4 verses, Arjuna will speak few verses where he will declare, he will repeat what Krishna has said, how he has understood. So there will be declarations that will come from Arjuna that you are the greatest, you are the best, you are the supreme personality of Godhead, and ये सब मैं नहीं कह रहा हूँ, ये सारे ऋषियों ने कहा है, and all that paraphrasing will come after these 4 verses. So that's why, and then the opulences will come of Krishna. We will speak about his opulences more detailed, Vibhuti, and then the Vishwarup Darshan will come, and the pure Bhakti Yoga will be elaborated in the 12th chapter. 13 to 18 is a Jnana to Bhakti. That has a transition from Jnana Yoga. If somebody wants to does not pursue any of these things and they are pursuing Jnana Yoga, what is their gati? वो कैसे भक्ति पे आ सकते हैं? So that has been elaborated in the various chapters starting from 13th and goes on till 18th. And 18th is more or less summary, contains everything practically, and then gives the conclusion with the 2 famous verses of 65, 66. And 72nd verse, Arjuna confirms that he's understood the Bhagavad Gita and he's now prepared to act according to Krishna's instructions. So the Sarva Dharman Parityaja verse comes, and then the Manmana Bhav Bhakto, that verse comes in 65th, and then 66th verse Sarva Dharman Parityaja comes, and then Arjuna confirms that Karishe Vachanam Tava, and then that's how Bhagavad Gita gets concluded, and then Sanjaya concludes the Bhagavad Gita towards the end. So this is what the whole sum and substance of Bhagavad Gita that's been packed in these 4 verses. So we will try and analyze these 4 verses in greater details. And to start that, we will start today's session with a story. And this story comes in Chaitanya Charitamrita as a narration, and Srila Prabhupada has narrated this story multiple times in his lectures. He's used it quite vividly. So this story is that of an illiterate Brahmana and Lord Chaitanya. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is a South Indian Brahmin, so he was on a tour of South India, and so from Jagannath, after visiting Jagannath Puri, he met Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. He converted Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya from Advaitavadi to Dvaita to a devotee, pure devotee, and then he went out for his mission. His mission was to preach. His mission was to spread Krishna consciousness, not just relish him personally, but he wanted everybody to relish it. And for that, he had to step out of Jagannath Puri and then travel down to South India, and then to North India as well later. But predominantly, this pastime happened during his South India visit. So this illiterate Brahmana was obviously illiterate, so he couldn't read. So his guru had told him to read Bhagavad Gita, and he was sitting with the Bhagavad Gita, and this man was illiterate. How can he read Bhagavad Gita? So everybody used to criticize him because everybody all around him, people knew him. Those who knew him, they would make fun of him because he was trying to read Bhagavad Gita, but he was unfortunately not learned. So he didn't knew how to read, but that was the order of his guru. So he used to sit down with the Bhagavad Gita, and then people generally, he became a target. He target to make fun. लोग मजाक बना देते थे बिकॉज वो सबको पता था कि वो पढ़ लिख नहीं सकता और भगवद गीता लेकर रोज जाके बैठ जाता है. एंड पीपल यूज टू मेक फन ऑफ हिम. So people used to say, how are you reading Bhagavad Gita? So he did not say anything because he knew that these friends are criticizing because he is illiterate. But that attracted his sincerity, attracted Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's attention. And see what happens later. He was illiterate and he was reading Bhagavad Gita, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was attracted towards him. कि क्या हुआ? Seeing his sincerity, seeing his humility, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu got attracted, and then he went to him and he started conversing with him. उन्होंने पूछा उनसे कि first of all he was also skeptical कि ये वापस आ गए कोई मेरा मजाक बनाने, तो पता नहीं क्या बोलेंगे अभी. So he was not opening up initially. So he was also, but later on he discovered कि Chaitanya Mahaprabhu does not want to criticize him. वो उनकी मजाक करने नहीं आए हैं, उनको भला बुरा कहने नहीं आए हैं. And then he opened up opened his heart to him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inquired, "Oh, what are you reading, my dear Brahmana?" So he explained that his gentleman has not come to criticize him. So he opened up himself. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu know that he's a perfect knower of Bhagavad Gita. Still he inquired, "Well, if you are not reading, then why are you crying?" Because uh, as he was holding Bhagavad Gita, the tears were rolling from his eyes continuously. He was crying continuously, and that is why became a subject matter, became an object of fun for everyone. Because आप कुछ जोक पढ़ सकते, आप कुछ पढ़ लिख सकते हो और कुछ आपको फनी पैराग्राफ पढ़ने दिया और वो पढ़ के आप हंसोगे. कुछ दुखद पैराग्राफ पढ़ने दिया तो आप रो सकते हो और सैड हो सकते हो. बट जबकि आपको पता है, सबको पता है कि आप पढ़ लिख नहीं सकते हैं, तो नो, दैट डजंट मैटर कि विच पैराग्राफ इज गिवन टू यू और व्हाट इज द कंटेंट रिटन in the manuscript that you are holding. It doesn't make difference because you are anyway not going to understand because you are not literate. That's simple. And but he used to cry. He used to have so much emotions, used to get choked in his heart that he used to cry with emotions. And that despite of not reading Bhagavad Gita actually. But and that's what was astonishing, and that's why Lord got attracted and Lord inquired, "Ki, you're crying but you're saying you're not able to read, then why are you crying? How can you cry? What is the meaning of those tears which you are shedding, and how can anybody understand you? That what is going on in your mind, what is going on in your heart?" So then he admitted, "Yes, sir, that is correct. I am crying, but I'm not crying because I find something I'm not able to read, so I'm not able to understand what is written in Bhagavad Gita. But he says that I cry because the moment I pick up this book, this Bhagavad Gita comes in front of me, I see Lord and a picture of Lord sitting on the chariot of Arjuna. So Arjuna is sitting in the chariot and ordering Krishna and Krishna, who is the supreme personality of Godhead, is carrying out order of his devotee, and he's taken such a menial service. He's so merciful that. So what makes me amazed is that I get amazed that just by knowing that Lord Krishna, who is such a great supreme personality of Godhead, who has no services, no duties, nothing to do. He has everything. Everything is owned and controlled by him. He is such a magnanimous figure, and he has accepted such a menial service from his devotee for his devotee, and that shows his kindness. How Bhakta Vatsal, how much Bhakta Vatsal he is, how much he loves his devotee. Seeing this, I can't stop crying. Though I have not even read one word of Bhagavad Gita, I understand Krishna's greatness. I understand how great Krishna is. And now I see his sweetness because seeing what he's doing. And now such a great person is doing such a small sweet thing for his devotees simply because he loves his devotee. Out of his love he's doing it, and that is what making me cry. And that's what he admits, that even though he has not read even one word of Bhagavad Gita, he doesn't understood, but just by seeing that picture he starts crying, and he just can't hold his tears back. And then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu understood that. He immediately embraced him, and he confirms that, yes, Brahmana, your reading of Bhagavad Gita is perfect. So this illiterate Brahmana, though he was illiterate, he had done everything. He has perfected his life because he has understood that that what is the sambandha. His sambandha was with Krishna. His abhidheya, that he has followed the process of bhakti, and he had attained love for Krishna. So prayojana was also fulfilled. The established, he was clear about his goal, that Krishna sambandha, Krishna abhidheya, bhakti, prayojana, Krishna prema, the love of Godhead. That's the prayojan for which the whole झमेला has to be done only for this प्रयोजन. अगर ये प्रयोजन हो जाता है तो पिछले तो अभी संबंध होने के बाद अभिधेय प्रोसेस फॉलो करना है और प्रयोजन मिलना है. प्रयोजन मिलने के बाद we have no other duty in this world. We does not then belong to this world. Then after having achieved our प्रयोजन, we should simply get out. जैसे कि कोई IIT IIM डिग्री मिलने के बाद they don't dilly dally back into the college. They just get out of that college because now they know the whole world is awaiting for them. And similarly, once we get what we have set out for to get, and we should simply move on, and then we will have no business with this material world. But until we achieve that stage, we will be bound in this world, and we will have to keep taking birth in this world. So the Brahmana has very clear understanding of who he has contact with, who उनका संबंध कौन है. He has very clear understanding of that sambandha Krishna, and he has having followed the process of bhakti. He is that he has attained prema, Krishna prema, and that's why seeing such an such an beautiful act, such a sweet act performed by his Lord of his heart, he's crying, and that's the symptom of a pure devotee. And that's how a devotee will be. A pure devotee will be like this, that he'll see Krishna everywhere, and he'll see how Krishna is helping everyone. He's how great Krishna is, and seeing that he'll also see Krishna's sweetness, and then he will have these emotions. He will demonstrate these emotions, but they come out of knowledge, not out of just being sentimental. So that there's a big difference in that. So the first verse which we looked at in our last session, we'll do a quick recap of this and then we will move forward. So the verse was 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, 8th verse. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah sarvam pravartate iti matva bhajante mam buddha bhava samanvitaha. Aham sarvasya prabhavo mattah. So aham mattah iti matva mam buddha. uh, Very clear, very direct references Krishna has made to himself. And so we have noticed that in the previous verses that we studied from second chapter till leading up to the sixth chapter, very rarely Krishna speaks about himself. Fourth chapter Krishna has said, second chapter 61st verse Krishna has said that if you engage your senses into me, you will be able to control them better. You'll be able to properly control them. So engage your senses into me, in my service. And then we saw the example of Ambarish Maharaj. But later in the fourth chapter, Krishna reveals a little bit more about himself. But again, he wrap up that chapter with Karma Yoga. So he doesn't go lot into details. So in the initial phase, in the initial opening verses of that chapter, fourth chapter, Krishna spoke on some verses where he is revealing why he's discussing this, revealing this knowledge to Arjuna. Bhakto semi sekha cheti, the science of relationship with the supreme. That's what Krishna used the word in the third verse, and Prabhupada has translated it like this, that the science of relationship, Krishna sambandha vijnana. We have this same, this wording comes in the pranam mantra of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur also, that Krishna sambandha vijnana daine prabhave namaha, that he has given us this Krishna Sambandha Vijnana, the science about the relationship with the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna. And so that's what makes this kind of a verses, these four verses so special, that there's such a direct reference that Krishna has given about himself and his prowess, his magnanimity, his greatness. He's spoken, about in this one verse, he has said it all. And here we have seen a lot of verses previously also. But this is where he gives kind of a summary. He summarizes everything and says, this is how great I can be. And there is nobody equal to me, nobody is greater than me. And so here Krishna saying that aham sarvasya prabhavo, that I am the source of all spiritual and material worlds, and there is nothing else exists. There is a material world where we all live, and there is a spiritual world where Krishna lives. And whatever connects the two is also part of one of these two things, one of these two worlds. So Krishna says, I'm the source of everything, and I have no source. Everything emanates from me. Everything has emanated from me. Om Purnamadam Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnam Eva Vishishyate. So Ishopanishad also described has this particular verse that from a Purna, everything, the another Purna is coming out, but the previous Purna is not reduced, is not, doesn't become weaker. So Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vishishate. What remains is also Purna. So the infinity minus infinity is infinity. In a rough way, we can describe it this way. And that's what Krishna says, that I, everything comes from me, the spiritual, material, whatever, everything. And so, and then the why is, then he says, this is the subject matter of knowledge, that I am the source of everything. Everything is owned by me, controlled by me, and will be annihilated by me. And without me, the living entities cannot even survive for a moment. Without Krishna's given oxygen that is made available to the point of our nose from where we are breathing it currently, the sun has risen by his order, and the sunlight and the moonlight, the heat and energy that we get from sun comes from Krishna. And because of this sun, the oceans are the water cycle is working. The ocean water is getting evaporated, the clouds are formed, clouds are transported, and the rain is given. Sometimes it is stored by way of snow, on the mountain peak. Sometimes it falls if on the ground, and then again it goes back to the ocean, and because of sun it again come back. So the so everything is so Krishna has just not created everything, but he's continuously maintaining it as well, or managing it as well. So he doesn't personally have to get involved. He gets it done through his agency, his Maya Devi, Durga Devi, or Maya Devi, or the or his energies. He has energies, and he gets work done from them. But they work under his supervision. The Maya Adhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sacharachara. So this is why this is what Krishna is now in one verse. Krishna has said a lot of things. Everything emanates from me. The why is now he this Krishna saying that this is the subject matter of knowledge. You should know. If you are wise, then you will know this. And after knowing this, what you will do? Knowing this is required but not sufficient, because once you know it, you will surrender to Krishna, because your very existence depends on him. And there is basic, even if there is no gratitude, you will surrender as a matter of duty. Having taken so much from him, there is no capacity for you to give back anything. Then you have no choice but to feel humble in front of Krishna, such a magnanimous person. So at a matter of duty, you will be humble with him, and you will be surrendered with him. And as a gratitude, you will appreciate him. And as a devotee, you will love him, because this is done as a, because Krishna love us, as we are part and parcel of Krishna. And Krishna has unending immense love for us. And because we desired, we landed up coming into this material world to enjoy this world without Krishna. We don't want we want to enjoy Krishna's property without Krishna. Now this is not a very great desire. If somebody wish to visit your home and enjoy your property, and by throwing you out, it's not a very happy state. And no matter how close that person could be to you, you will not feel very happy. You will not feel very proud, or very no, will not get pleased by that action. But we having done this, also Krishna does not become angry with us. We come here to enjoy his world without him, without the instructions given, without following all the instructions that Krishna has given. We wish to enjoy the world. And Krishna has, by his mercy, given us the facility. He's created this facility for us to enjoy, where there could be some happiness, but there will always be a lot of distress, which will keep us reminding that this is not the place for us to here to be in. This We are foreign to this land, and our true place is Krishna's world. Tadhama paramam mama yad gatvana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. So Krishna has, so anybody who is wise, who should learn this knowledge perfectly, that Krishna is great and how great Krishna is, then he will engage in devotional service to him. Bhajante mam iti matva bhajante mam. So this is the abhideya. The first part, as we've seen, the first part is a sambandha, know with whom we have to establish a relationship, and we have to establish a relationship with Krishna. Why? Because Krishna is so great, because Krishna is doing so much for us. And as a matter of duty, or as a matter of gratitude, or as a matter of love, whatever be our position, whatever be हम जो हमारी बुद्धि हो, because not ideally everybody should be at a level of love, but we love our own self, we love our own desires, we love our own possessions, we love our own relatives. हम We have so much attachment to money, we have so much attachment to sex, we have so much attachment um, to meat eating, to अल्कोहल. We ये सब हम नहीं छोड़ सकते. इसके लिए हमारा कृष्णा से प्रेम नहीं हो पाता है. We are not able to love Krishna the same way he is loving us. So, but that is a pure state to be in. Even if we are not at pure state, at some state, whatever state we might be in, we should be at the minimum we should become we should respect Krishna as a matter of duty, because having received so many things from him, this is why we establish our sambandha with Krishna. By just knowing that how great he is, how much he is doing for us, we become humble in front of us. And those, if we are more intelligent, we will follow the process of bhakti. We will take up hearing and chanting. I will read Sri Prabhupada book to know more about hearing and chanting. And itimatva bhajante ma. Bhajante is just not performing kirtan, sankirtan, or doing puja. It requires all nine processes of of a devotional service, starting and led by hearing and chanting. So, iti bhatva bhajante mam. Prayojana is to develop love for Krishna. Buddha bhava samanvitaha. So, wholeheartedly, one becomes devotee of Krishna. One starts loving Krishna for what who he is, what how good Krishna is. For that we should love him, not because uh, we may initially love him or like him for what he's doing for us. मुझे job नहीं है, Krishna, I'll start chanting nicely. At the moment I get a job, I forget Krishna. मेरे distress है, I'm going through some problem, mental problem है, physical problem है, relationship problems है, and then I suddenly become good devotee. I attend morning japa session, and then I start chanting, and the moment my problem is resolved, I get out. I forget Krishna, and then forget Krishna till I land up in another problem. And that's why problems are necessary for us to get a constant reminder that we have to be in constant engagement with Krishna, constant association of devotees, and constantly chanting and hearing about Krishna. We should not forget Krishna even for a moment. What to speak of stopping to chant and stopping to read and stopping to hear? That's a recipe for disaster for us. So, in the purport of this verse, Srila Prabhupada writes that one who understands Krishna in such a way from a bona fide spiritual master with references from Vedic literature engages all his energy in Krishna consciousness and become a truly learned man. In comparison to him, all others who do not know Krishna properly are but fools. As Nota Prabhu often says, that who has guts to write like this, something like this, except other than Srila Prabhupada? No one. All other commentaries, hopefully you don't read them, but even if you read, uh, those are all misleading. Here we've seen 4 times Krishna has given personal reference to him, and there will be some commentaries where who will throw Krishna out of this commentary completely, and they said forget Krishna, but the actual absolute truth is Brahman, or absolute truth is beyond Krishna, or whatever could be their philosophy. So this is where Krishna and Srila Prabhupada become so instrumental in bringing out the correct message of Bhagavad Gita. And once you having understood that message from a person who is practicing bhakti, Bhagavad Gita is not a book uh, just to be read by scholars. It's a book to meant for practice. It's a book. Every verse in this in this book has practical application, and that in that mode only we should learn this. We should not learn it to memorize and पैरेट जैसा श्लोका बोल के लोगों को इम्प्रेस करने के लिए हमको भगवद गीता नहीं सीखनी चाहिए. वी शुड नॉट लर्न भगवद गीता सो दैट वी शुड किसी को इम्प्रेस करने के लिए या किसी को कन्विंस करने के लिए, देखो मुझे कितना आता है संस्कृत में, कर्मण्यवाधिकार से करके आई कैन स्टैंड सम 2-3 वर्सेस, तो लोग इम्प्रेस हो जाते हैं. उनको कुछ नहीं आता तो they will obviously feel very good. अरे वाह वाह इनको बहुत आता है, and then get some false prestige in the society. For that one should never learn Bhagavad Gita. So Bhagavad Gita is meant for practical application. Everything that is talked about in Bhagavad Gita has practical application, and we should learn this topic only in that mood. Then only it is understood, because as Bhagavad Gita has a progression that follows, that happens between the conversation that Krishna and Arjuna are having, and progressively Bhagavad Gita can be practiced also. And Prabhupada has very mercifully given, right from in every purport, he has given the ultimate prayojana, that is attaining Krishna and going back to Krishna. He is practically included in that in every purport. So no matter when you stop reading Bhagavad Gita, you probably would have read, that the ultimate objective of reading Bhagavad Gita, learning Bhagavad Gita, is what was attained by that illiterate Brahmana, and that is made available to you in every verse, practically, purport to every verse. So you don't, Prabhupada doesn't let you go away from the ultimate objective that we wish to achieve by taking up the process of bhakti. So only a fool would consider Krishna to be an ordinary man. A Krishna conscious person should not be bewildered by such fools. And these are who will be those fools? Those fools could be all around us in our family, or our best friend, our boyfriend or girlfriend, or whoever, bosses. It could be anyone. Your mother-in-law, your father-in-law, son-in-law. Those fools are everywhere. This society is full of fools, and there's no dearth of fool. You ask for one and 10 will come. So you have to be very cautious and very careful, because these fools can bewilder you. If you are not learned your fundamentals correctly, then these fools can bewilder you. You have ability to answer those fools queries only if you have studied the subject matter properly. If you are weak in your studies, you should, then that is something for you to take up. You should be taking up that study, and then should be you should be asking more questions. You should be talking to devotees more often, because a devotee who is practicing can only teach. And we, if we have our practice is weak, our learning will remain weaker, weak as well. And hence we will be bewildered by such fools, and we will eventually then start doubting our own, doubting the whole process, doubting the all the concepts of bhakti that you have been learning and you have been benefiting from. And eventually you can easily go away. And that's how the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita was lost. In the Krishna fourth chapter, second verse, Krishna says that the sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa, that in the course of time, even that this knowledge was lost, and I am making you the first recipient of this knowledge in the current yuga. Now this will be applicable for, this will go on till the Kali Yuga, till the end of Kali Yuga. But when Krishna spoke this Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, this knowledge, as he was acknowledging that this knowledge seems to have been lost. So the knowledge can be lost. The whole Bhagavad Gita can be lost. What to speak of our understanding of Bhagavad Gita? That will be lost in no time if we are not cautious and careful while dealing with fools. So we should understand who is a fool and who is a Buddha. Buddha, the Buddha has a meaning that enlightened one, not just one who is just like parrot जैसा कोई बोल रहा है. That person might need not be a Buddha. Buddha one is who has realized that whatever scripture says, has realized that in real life, that yes, in the real life also it's true. And this, every word said by the scripture can be understood in that way, can be realized in personal life. But that is possible when you apply the instructions by Krishna. And the instructions are very clear, that follow bhakti yoga, remember Krishna, cultivate remembrance of Krishna 24/7. Mam anusmara yudhyacha. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yudhyacha maya arpita manobuddhi. How? Maya arpita manobuddhi. Ananya chetaha satata. That without deviation, ananya chetaha satatam yo mam smarati nityashaha. Jo mera nitya smaran karte hai. Tasyaham sulabha partha nitya yuktasya yoginaha. For such a devotee, Bhakti Marga बहुत ही simple है. He has not said सुलभ or simple for any other path. ना कर्म योगा सिंपल है, ना ध्यान योगा सिंपल है. ज्ञान योगा तो समझना भी डिफिकल्ट है, प्रैक्टिस करना तो बहुत दूर की बात है. तो none of these four paths, or whatever these are the four paths which are available today. And atheist बनना भी डिफिकल्ट है. नॉट ऐसा कोई सोचेगा कि मैं भगवान को रिजेक्ट करके खुश रहूंगा, तो नहीं. एथिस्ट बनना बहुत ज्यादा डिफिकल्ट है, उसके लिए बहुत ज्यादा फेथ लगता है. And then that's also very difficult. So only a fool can consider Krishna to be an ordinary person, and we are surrounded by such fools. So we should be very careful. what we read, which Bhagavad Gita we read, which interpretation we are listening to, which path, whoever could be the speaker of Bhagavad Gita, what is the final conclusion they have determined for themselves, and what is the final prayojana towards which they are working, what process they are following. These are the questions, because Bhakti tradition apart from ISKCON also is practice, but not everything is same. So we need, if we are at all get exposed to any one of those, we should be extremely careful in hearing also, and we should consult devotees before we take any steps. so know how great Krishna is. The purport in the sum and substance of this 10.08 verse is to know how great Krishna is. And what do we do by knowing Krishna's greatness? We have to surrender to him humbly. Surrender is a mental activity, and there has to be something done at a physical level, because हमको भूख लगती है तो we have to eat things physically, and until that happens our hunger doesn't get subsided. So surrender, mental surrender is required, but that is, it has to be followed by the physical actions to follow instructions given in Bhagavad Gita, to perform devotional service of hearing and chanting under guidance of devotees in their association. कैसे करना है? रोज करना है, नित्य, नित्यम भागवत सेवया, एंड रोज करना है, एंड सबको करना है, एवरीबडी हैज टू डू इट विदाउट एक्सेप्शन, विदाउट, बर्थडे को ज्यादा करना है, एनिवर्सरी हो तो ज्यादा करना है, पार्टी हो तो ज्यादा करना है, बिकॉज यू विल बी डूइंग समथिंग which is non-devotional, so you should be more careful. Exams hai to zyada karna hai, because you need mantra, you need your mind to work at 100% capacity. For that, chanting is the best instrument to clean the mind. So clean mind rahega to 100% capacity pe function karega, you will write your answers much better. So exam ke din bhi chutti nahi leni hai, and that's how we have to perform devotional service in association of devotees. So you should be in association of devotees, and we'll look at that verse also, which talks specifically about that. So the experience, ये भक्ति करके होता क्या है? We know this, that Krishna is great. We can surrender to him. We can start following instructions given by him in Bhagavad Gita. Under the guidance of devotees, with devotees' help only, we can understand how to practice Bhagavad Gita. Otherwise, on your own, if you read, you will not be able to figure out anything. So once we start practicing devotional service, once we start hearing and chanting and visiting Dham, singing Kirtan, dancing in Kirtan, we experience enlightenment. We become Buddha, enlightened one, and we experience spiritual joy. We experience happiness due to the mercy of Krishna and devotees. And that happiness, we have to link it to Krishna. That jab hum devotee association mein hote hai, we experience happiness. Whenever we are in the environment, we are in the temple, we experience spiritual joy. The moment we step out of temple, we are on our own, and unless our bhakti is strong, we will struggle. We will struggle to remain peaceful. What to speak of happy? हम पीसफुल रहने के लिए भी मुश्किल है बाहर के वर्ल्ड में. वर्ल्ड इज एजिटेटर्स नाउ, एवरी नाउ एंड देन वी विल फील एजिटेटेड. सो पीसफुल रहना ही मुश्किल है, तो हैप्पी रहना तो बहुत ज्यादा मुश्किल है, प्रैक्टिकली इम्पॉसिबल है. एंड so this is where we have to link what happiness we experience in spiritual happiness, and we have to link that spiritual happiness with Krishna, and then thereby perform devotional service more and more. The Bhagavad Gita verses, this is what we spoke on the last this thing. We have a quick activity as well for this session. The Krishna is the original person, cause of all causes. Krishna is responsible for creation, maintenance, subsistence, and destruction. Everything in this world that is happening in this world and what is happening to us is all happening because of his sanction. So there is an immediate cause, that is our action, and there is a remote cause, that's a sanction by Krishna, and there is ultimate cause. In the airline example that we saw this, all the three. that there is an immediate action that we had to perform. For agar humko fly karna hai Bombay se Delhi, so we have to do certain activities. There was a left hand side and a right hand side in the table. So left hand side had multiple list of activities which we have to perform, and that's mandatory, that unless these are done, you need not even worry about what is there in your karma. If these are not done properly, the karma will, the second will is not required. So it doesn't matter what happens with the airline. So so the performance of immediate cause is our action. So अगर आपको fly करना है बॉम्बे से दिल्ली में, आपको टिकट बुक करनी पड़ेगी, then पैसे जमाने करने पड़ेंगे, then on the date of flight आपको airport जाना पड़ेगा, and you'll have to complete all the security checking and make yourself available for boarding. What is the remote cause? अगर आपका कर्मा ड्यू है, अगर आपको proper Krishna has sanctioned this travel, then everything will happen properly. Airline crew will come on time, pilot will be there on time, everything will be working smoothly, the systems will work smoothly, there will be no technical defect into the flight, the fuel will be available, there is no disturbance, there will be no disturbance on the airport in Mumbai or in Delhi. Weather will be perfect, the cruise will be nice, the whole flight journey will be nice. And if this is sanctioned by Krishna, if Krishna has not sanctioned, then any one of these things will fail, and you may have to return back to your home, or you may take off from Mumbai, but instead of going to Delhi, you may get diverted to Jaipur, or may get diverted to, say, Ahmedabad or some other place other than Delhi. So if Krishna has not sanctioned, you cannot go to Delhi. And this is a simple example where we can clearly understand two sides to every action. But this is the same table can be drawn up for a simple thing. Any action that I'm taking, I'm lifting my hand now. Even this action has a sanction by Krishna. Without Krishna's sanction, if Krishna takes away that power or my ability to lift my hand, I will stop. I will stop from then, that moment onwards. I will not be even able to lift my hand. What to speak of doing other things? So when we are acting in this world, we become proud or we get praise. We should always be thankful to Krishna, because it's not because of our own effort we have achieved whatever we have achieved. It's not right from our birth till whatever we have achieved so far, till etc. But all that is possible because Krishna is sanctioning it. Yeah. So we should be aware of this, and we should be acknowledging this. We should be humble because of this. That should make us humble, that nothing is possible in our world, in our, so whatever we may possess beauty, we may possess strength, we may possess wealth, we may possess a lot of knowledge, lots of degrees, we must be doctor, engineer, chartered accountant, we could be president of a country, we could be prime minister of a country. All that has small portion of our action and large portion of sanction by Krishna. Because of his sanction this has happened, so always be aware of that. The whole Bhagavad Gita, study of Bhagavad Gita, in a summary, as we can see, we can understand it this way, that it all starts with the concept of soul. To understand who we are, then we go on to progress to understand who Krishna is and how he is great. Now Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of all the entire spiritual world and us as well. So he has given us the facility, he's done everything for us so that we can try and fulfill our desires to enjoy his property without him. Such a bad desire, but Krishna is helping us because he's given us a free will, using which we are misusing, which we are now cultivating such desires, and Krishna is providing us facility for fulfilling those desires. But he doesn't stop with that, he also gives us scripture. So while giving us the facility to enjoy, try and enjoy in the world, he's given us scripture to try and get out of this world also. And the scriptures talk about the relationship with Krishna, our relationship with Krishna. Our relationship with this material world is zero. We are foreign to this material world. We are spiritual. This whole world is matter. So we are supposed to exploit the matter, but we ourselves don't belong to the world. So so that's how that's our nature. And That's the reason why in this material world, there is nothing is permanent, nothing is eternal, nothing, nobody is happy. But we have longing to be eternally happy. We have longing to live eternally, and we have longing to be happy eternally. And these two, both these longings comes because we have experienced these in the spiritual world. Uh, Something like an African boy who has never seen pizza suddenly go and ask his mother for pizza. Now the pizza is not there in the immediate vicinity, in immediate environment. Pizza does not exist. He lives in jungle, he kills animal and eat. That's what he has seen, all his parents have done since his since time immemorial. So how can this child talk about pizza? Because he must have lived in America in his previous birth, and because he has eaten pizza in previous birth, now he is that memory, and because of which he's asking for pizza. Similarly, because we have lived in the spiritual world where the life was eternal and life was eternally happy, we have that longing to experience the same in the current world as well. And that's where our repeated attempts are being failed because repeated birth after birth we are trying to uh, we're trying to we're trying to create a eternal environment for ourselves by making nice arrangements to live eternally, but that fails because when our time comes we have to we get thrown out of our body, and not only body but also our home or the company of our relatives and friends and family. Everything, we are just pulled out of everything, and we are just everything remains here and we are taken somewhere else. And so that's the reality. That's again happens all around us. Momentarily we get shocked to know this, but next moment we just get covered by our uh, desires, covered by our sense enjoyments, and just get submerged in those, forgetting the real knowledge. So the scriptures reveal that real knowledge to us again. The knowledge is that of a relationship, that Krishna is great, but we may say Ambanis are great, Adanis are great, and but we have nothing to do with them. They may be living in the same city where we might be living, but we don't know anything about them. We don't care about them, and neither they care about us. So there's no relationship practically. Now, but Krishna is different type of great person. He has intimate relationship with us. He want to reclaim us. He want us to go back to him. We belong to spiritual world, and he wants to remind us constantly of that fact, so that we get frustrated by our efforts to enjoy material world and at least cultivate a desire to go back to spiritual world. And that this is where Krishna is providing us information through scriptures like Bhagavad-Gita. He's sending devotees like Srila Prabhupada, who will open up temples, who will establish the practice of bhakti, and also preaching. The preaching and practicing facility both will be provided to devotees, so that they can learn and they can practice and they can experience, and then they can progress in developing love for Krishna. So this is the ultimate prayojan, that everlasting enriching loving relationship with Krishna by following the recommended process of bhakti or devotional service. So we'll do a quick activity. The activity is that we've spoken a lot about Krishna's greatness and Krishna's sweetness, how great Krishna is and how sweet Krishna is. Now, let's take a quick reminder of that, and let's understand how how can we understand. Can you can someone give quick examples of Krishna's greatness? Now we've discussed a lot of those in our previous session, and yeah, no, I've closed the presentation for the moment. So we need to know the in your own words you can describe that. One sentence also, one person can give that how great Krishna is, and then we will move to another section where we will see how great, how sweet Krishna is. There we have to list out our favorite pastimes of Krishna, be it he was tied up by Mother Yashoda. We don't have to elaborate. It could be one sentence, one word, or one sentence. But what we then have to do is we need to link the two. that how this illiterate Brahmana has done, we have to do something similar for ourselves. So we will talk about some of the things about Krishna's greatness. We'll talk about some of his things that we know, remember about his sweetness. Sweetness are his pastimes are all sweet. His childhood pastimes, his his childhood cow, his pastimes with cowherd boys, the friends, playing in the Vrindavan, Kalia, Putana. There were so many. So we will list out all for the benefit of everyone so that everyone knows these two things. And then we have to link the two and come up with a sentence. Like how that illiterate Brahmana came up with a sentence that what was his sentence? That how great Krishna is and what is he doing for the pleasure of his devotee. He's riding a chariot, sitting on he's working as a chariot driver and taking orders from his devotee, and in spite of being such a great person himself. Now this is his sentence, and this is what gave him immense happiness, immense that invoked love in him for Krishna. That whatever the love he had, that grew because of this realization. So we will do a similar activity. First, let's hear about some of the aspects of Krishna's greatness, and then hear about some of the aspects of Krishna's sweetness. And this is what we will have to do. That uh, you need to send a WhatsApp. You have to form your sentence and send a WhatsApp to me on this number. Okay. So we will let's hear let's real quickly. Most of you are aware because most of you have attended previous session last Sunday. So let's list out some of the aspects of Krishna's greatness in very brief one word.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, Mother.
Prabhuji, one of the most important thing about Krishna is that uh, Lord Shri Krishna, he is very merciful. If I say like he's so merciful that he even after committing sins, so many demons they have attained the highest position. Lord's abode they have attained. So we can say that he is the most
He is
merciful.
merciful, most merciful Lord.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
Yeah. हम कुछ भी करें, he's ever ready to take us back to him,
Yes,
and
of course.
he never
But
gets frustrated with us. है ना, कितना अच्छा
we
है ना?
have to accept. Yes, we have to accept our sins also. That doesn't
Yeah.
mean कि how we start committing sins, we will do and we'll think that he will deny that and he will say that okay, I'm merciful, so I will not
मैं
accept your
करता
sins.
रहूंगा.
I will
हाँ.
do
Yeah.
like that.
Very true. Very nice. Thanks, Rashmi Atari.
Hare
Next.
Yes, yes.
Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Rashmi Atari.
Prabhuji, Krishna is also all the time he is reciprocating with all the devotees. In a,
Reciprocal. Yes. Very nice. Yeah, Divisha. Please raise hands. I'll just start.
Okay.
So
Hare
that
Krishna Prabhuji, Danvat
yes,
Pranam.
Disha.
By greatness, I remember one pastime wherein Vyasdev goes to Pandava's house to eat. This is Akshay Tritiya's story.
Okay.
And there is
This was
no
Durvasa
food.
Muni. Yes, that was Durvasa
Sorry?
Muni. Durvasa Muni.
Oh, yes, Prabhuji, I'm sorry. Please correct me
Yes.
if I'm wrong.
So
So
he's
he
always
goes,
ready to help his
huh.
devotees. Helpful
So
to
he's always
devotees.
ready. He eats the rice and then everyone's stomach is full.
Okay. Very nice. Yes. Anybody else? Yes. Vikas Prabhu.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
So, so the greatness of Krishna means in my means to my thought process means or whatever I have read is that भूमि रापो नलो वायु खम्मन और बुद्धि एवच अहंकार इत्यमे भिन्ना प्रकृति अस्ता. And beyond these 8 material energy, Krishna has also the spiritual energy, means the living entities. And despite being this, means this includes that the whole universe, the energy of whole universe is emanating from him. And despite being this, Krishna is dancing for a small piece of butter or curd in front of the elderly gopis. So that gives means that pastime gives the immense pleasure actually. That thing
Okay.
he just
So
showing
yeah,
doing the pastime with devotees.
yeah. So Prabhuji has just done both the things. What he has done is he's linked the two, and this is exactly what we have to come up with. That he's great. He's so great that everything is everything is his energy. And in despite of that, now he obviously he knows he has all the cows are owned by him, all the property is owned by him. And despite of that, when he appears in two-hand form as Lord Krishna, he is prepared to dance and sing for a piece of butter. So that's his sweetness. So this is a Braja Leela, and the greatness is what is typically described in the Bhagavad Gita. So when you link the two, you can come up with a sentence of your own. So thank you so much, Vikash Prabhu. Nitu Mataji, yes, you can.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. One pastime which you remembrance of Krishna is like when Draupadi was in trouble, when Dusashan was unwrapping her sari, then the intense prayer, she prayed to Krishna very intensely. And so there we can see the greatness of Krishna, that how he is helpful, and he hears to the devotee. That one.
Okay,
And
yeah, helpful.
yeah,
Yes, we have
and
mentioned that.
again,
Yes.
and one more thing is, I don't know about the how much it will link, but I want to share that when Bhishma Dev, so when Krishna promised to Bhishma Dev that I'll not lift any weapon, but to support to Krishna, he lifted the wheel. So it's like he kept the promise also. One side that he didn't. I think similar to that.
Correct. So the Name Bhakta Prashasi. So he had promised, Krishna has promised earlier that he will not lift weapon, but to break, and he broke his vow to allow
Yeah,
to
to
protect
help.
Arjuna and to help Bhishma protect his
Yes,
vow.
yes,
Okay. Okay. So that pastime you want to link. So you
yes.
understood, right, everyone? Please start making sentences and start sending mail messages to me while other devotees will elaborate. Yeah, Umesh Prabhu and then Mukesh Prabhu.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Hare Krishna.
कृष्णा द्वारिका के बहुत बड़े राजा थे, लेकिन उन्हें जो भी हम लोग अर्पित करते हैं प्यार से, तो वो आनंद पूर्वक उसे ग्रहण करते हैं। जैसे सुदामा थे, वो बहुत गरीब ब्राह्मण थे, लेकिन उन्होंने जो प्यार से उन्हें जो चावल खिलाए, तो उन्होंने मांग मांग के खाए थे। तो वो सबके प्रति बहुत ही काइंड है। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Yeah, that's nicely connected. That despite of being such a big king, Krishna was ready to accept a small morsel of rice from Sudama. That's very nicely linked. So his greatness on one hand and his sweetness, and link the two and draw a nice sentence out of it. Yes, Mukesh
Hare
Prabhu?
Krishna Prabhuji.
Yeah, Prabhuji, 1 minute, mein. We'll come to you after Mukesh Prabhu. Yes, Mukesh Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, दंडवत प्रणाम।
Yes,
प्रभु
sir.
जी भगवान षडैश्वर के स्वामी हैं, उनके पास वे 6 ऐश्वर्यों से भरपूर हैं, लेकिन फिर भी एक पास टाइम है उनका बाल लीला में कि एक फल बेचने वाली आती है और उनके सामने वो जो है फल का अनुरोध करते हैं। छोटी छोटी अंजलियों में वो है ना ग्रेन्स लेके आते हैं, जो है ना खत्म हो जाता है आते आते, तो फल वाली को जो है वो फिर उन पे वो देती है, उनको फल उनको अर्पित करती है, और वह थोड़े से भी जो ग्रेन जो बच जाते हैं वो फिर उस फल वाली को वो है ना।
Yes, Roji, very beautiful. Yes.
तो इसमें भगवान की महानता ये है कि सर्वों के स्वामी भी हैं, लेकिन वे अपने भक्त के लिए जो है वो बन जाते हैं, भिक्षुक भी बन जाते हैं उनके सामने अपने। तो बहुत अच्छी लीला, ऐसे बहुत है। भगवान तो पिछले श्लोक में कह भी आए हैं कि मैं तो सारा है ना आध्यात्मिक और भौतिक जगत मेरे से दूत है। तो ये भगवान की महानता है।
Yes, thank you so much, Roji, for sharing. Vinod Prabhu?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
Hare Krishna.
कृष्ण भगवान ने जो गोवर्धन पर्वत को उठाया था, इतने सर्वशक्तिमान है कि उन्होंने एक उंगली के ऊपर गोवर्धन पर्वत को उठा लिया और इतने होने के बाद भी सारे वृंदावन वासियों को सबको उन्होंने कहा कि नहीं, गोवर्धन की पूजा करनी है और उनका ही ये करना है। तो जो उनकी एनर्जी को ध्यान में रखते हुए फिर भी उनके प्रति श्रद्धा रखी है, गोवर्धन को एक अपने रूप में स्थापित किया और उन्होंने जो पूजा और परिक्रमा शुरू की जो आज तक भी चलता है, तो उसके प्रति सम्मान भी रखने का भाव रखते हैं और उसको अपनी उंगली पर उठाने का भी सामर्थ्य रखते हैं।
Prabhuji, you are on mute. Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhuji, you take this step further that he is so powerful that he could lift Govardhan on his small finger. But how you link it with his sweetness, that he got scared by seeing a stick in the hand of his mother during Damodar Leela. Correct?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji.
So what I'm saying is you need to link the two and you need to pick up your favorite pastime. So what we are asking devotees to share so that everyone can get an idea. So Prabhuji's idea is that Krishna is so powerful that he can lift the whole entire Govardhan hill, which was now also it's 26 kilometer radius, but that time it was much larger. And he was so powerful that he could lift such a big hill. But then when his mother showed him the stick, he was scared and he started crying in the Damodar Leela. So that's how so merciful our Lord is. That's how sweet Lord is. So you can start, you can take a couple of minutes to type your sentence and you can send it to me. You can have your own favorite pastime. Pick up your favorite pastime. I'll go to the chat box quickly. I saw some comments over there. Yes, Krishna, Swapnil Prabhu, Krishna Sudama relationship. You can mention that. Link it. This is his sweetness that he's asking for more rice from Sudama, and he's a king of Dwarka. Yes, you can use this. Mandar Prabhu is saying Krishna is on your side. You can battle the life of life like Arjuna. Krishna's present without his great army. That's correct. Not related to today's topic. Manvantara's Sangeeta Mataji, we can probably discuss later. We can have a separate chat for that. When probably we can have discuss it over a telephone call or something. Sudeep Prabhu is Krishna is full with opulence. Sudeep Prabhu, आपको ना मुझे ये करना है, WhatsApp करना है. I want to know that so this make sure that everybody sends it on WhatsApp. So I'll not be able to look at the chat, but make it your favorite line. Pick up your favorite pastime and link it to one of the opulence of Krishna, one of his greatness, and then send it. So I'll just give one more minute and then we'll move to the next session, rest of the session.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Any doubt about what to do? Anybody has doubt? So those who have spoken, if they want to pick up others' pastime, they are free to do that. But just so this is where we are realizing that. So this is where we are realizing how what should be. This is the tattva with which we should hear Krishna's pastimes. And yesterday we were discussing with one of the devotee that if we don't know the tattva, if we don't understand the philosophy properly, then we may think of those pastimes very cheaply. Like Yashoda Maya scolding Krishna, little Krishna, with a throwing stick, or uh, scolding Lord. Now that pastime becomes sweeter when we know that this same Lord is the Lord of the universe, who's created this universe, and the even fear personified is fearful of him, and he has nothing to fear in reality, but he has a desire. He had a desire to reciprocate with his devotee who wanted him as a son, and he also wanted to enjoy parental love from, otherwise he has no parents. So with his own desire he has submitted himself to the care of his mother, and now mother is scolding him for stealing butter, which is what, nothing. He's Which is nothing, but he wants himself to be covered by yoga maya so that he can relish the relationship rasa. There is a rasa in this relationship of getting a scolding from your mother, has a rasa in it, and Krishna has never enjoyed this rasa. And Krishna is rasaraj, he wants to enjoy every rasa, and therefore he write this pastime, and he have his devotees perform different roles in that pastime, and he himself play his role to the perfection. And because it is his desire, he's getting scolding from his mother, and he is deriving extreme happiness, immense happiness in the process. He's relishing this pastime of being a son who's been scolded by his mother. And mother also is covered by yoga maya, because if she becomes too much aware of the aishwarya of Krishna, the opulence of Krishna, she will bow down to him, she will do dandavats to him, she will start chanting prayers in his glorification. But instead of doing all that, she picks up a stick and feels that she has to discipline her son so that he doesn't grow up and become a thief. And with this mind, she can think like this, because she has forgotten his opulence, she has forgotten his divinity. So both are under the cover of yoga maya, and both are acting in this relationship, and therefore the pastime is sweeter. The pastime with this knowledge becomes more sweeter, the Damodar Leela pastime. But otherwise, when we look at this incident, this might be an incident happening in alternate home, where a mother is holding a stick and trying to scold a child. If the child is very small and has done, mother is just showing a stake and not actually hoping, trying to hit him, but then these are amusing. But when we know that this boy is none other than Supreme Personality of Godhead, the same pastime become amazing. We hear the same pastime with this knowledge that Krishna is great, and the same pastime become more relishable. That's why, that's the reason why we should know it in tattva. Knowing generally Krishna katha is entertaining but not enlightening. They become enlightening when we are able to link his sweetness with his greatness. We have to understand his greatness first, and then see that how sweet he is, and that's how we become Buddha. Otherwise we remain in the category of Mudha. We'll move forward with the next verse. This is again one of the most beautiful verses in Bhagavad Gita, and a lot of you, I hope, know this verse, have memorized this verse, and this is worth memorizing verse. One of the most beautiful verses. Okay. Yeah, so the 10.9th verse, this is the last verse which we'll study today, and then we'll study rest of the two verses in group next session. So machitta madgata pranaha, machitta madgata prana bodhayantah parasparam kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Machitta is my thoughts, my mind. Chitta is mind. Madgata prana, my whole existence, my prana is my whole of my existence is dwell in you. Is my, so that this kind of a position one attains only in love. When they are in complete love, madly in love with the other person, they attain this kind of a position. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. their lives are fully devoted to my service. That's what Krishna is, Prabhupada is translating. And they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another, conversing about me. Kathayantascha mam nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Very beautiful poetic verse Krishna has spoken, and has a lot to unpack in this verse as well. So let's look at this. So look at the purport what Prabhupada has given, and then we will see this verse in more detail. So pure devotees whose characteristics are mentioned here engage themselves fully in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Their minds cannot be diverted from the lotus feet of Krishna. Their talks are solely on the transcendental topics. The symptoms of the pure devotees are described in this verse specifically. Devotees of the Supreme Lord are 24 hours daily engaged in glorifying the qualities and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Their hearts and souls are constantly submerged in Krishna, and they take pleasure in discussing him with other devotees. Prabhupada has quoted one verse, one of the most important verse from Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Madhya Lila 19th chapter 155th verse, 151st verse. Brahmande Brahmite Kona Bhagyavana Jiva Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Bija. The translation: according to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary systems, and some are going down into the lower planetary systems. Out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. By the mercy of both Krishna and the spiritual master, such a person receives the seed of the creeper of devotional service. Bhakti, Sri Krishna, Guru Krishna Prasade Paye Bhakti Lata Bija. Bhakti Lata Bij, the seed for bhakti. And it's a lata, it's not, it's a tree, but it's a lata, it's a veil, or creeper, as we call it in English. So, purport Prabhupada says Lord Chaitanya likens transcendental devotional service to the sowing of a seed in the heart of the living entity. There are innumerable living entities traveling throughout the different planets of the universe, and out of them, there are a few who are fortunate enough to meet a pure devotee and get the chance to understand devotional service. This devotional service is just like a seed, and if it is sown in the heart of a living entity, and if he goes on hearing and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, that seed fructifies, just as the seed of a tree fructifies with regular watering. So what is the watering for this particular seed, Bhakti Lata Bij? Once, so it's important to get a bij. Not everyone is able to take it. And you might have a fertile land, but if there is no bij, nothing will come out. And so hence, that land has to be maintained properly by following 4 regulatory principles. Also, you need to be you need to receive the bij and receive the seed and water it. So the land can be equated with the 4 regulatory principles that we are all supposed to follow. Because if the land is not properly maintained, no matter how good a seed can be, it will not grow. Nothing will happen to it. If the land is bad, the मिट्टी अगर ठीक नहीं है तो मिट्टी की भी ठीक करनी है, लैंड को भी ठीक करना है. Then we have to receive the best of the seed also. Even if what we receive if your land is good, seed is good, but if we don't water it, it will still not grow. It will also become a wasteful effort, because despite of the fact that the land was good and the seed was good, if farmer don't put water regularly there, there's not going to be any chance of he having any crop. So the land is necessary, the seed is necessary, and constant watering, nurturing, taking care of that seed is also necessary. And with constant regular watering, a the seed will fructify and it will become a plant, and twigs will come out and the plant will grow slowly. So that Prabhupada is saying that watering for the seed of devotion, bhakti lata beej ka watering क्या है? Process of watering is hearing and chanting, hearing constantly about Krishna's sweetness as well as his greatness, both. इसीलिए भगवत गीता learn करना primary है, principle है, because all the principles of bhakti are spoken in Bhagavad Gita, and their case studies are given in Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam might be more nectarian, is in the story form, but अगर हमें प्रिंसिपल पता नहीं होगा तो स्टोरी सुन के सिर्फ ज्यादा फायदा नहीं होगा. इफ व्हाट नो मैटर हाउ मेनी स्टोरीज वी हियर, व्हेन वी know about the principle that how great Krishna is, unless we are very convinced about Krishna's greatness, those stories will make little sense to us. Those will become just, then that's how people they become mythologies. Eventually they becomes meaningless, because we don't have the foundation is to know how great Krishna is. Knowing knowledge of his opulence, knowledge of his greatness will help us appreciate his sweetness. When he perform Leela, when he come out of Narsimha, come out of a pillar broken by kicked by Hiranyakashipu, and perform nice pastime of killing Hiranyakashipu in the by fulfilling all the conditions that he had kept and Brahmaji had sanctioned, and still save his devotee Prahlad. so uh, so that those stories, we will not be able to understand and appreciate and explain to others properly if our hearing and chanting is bad, if our foundation of Bhagavad Gita is weaker. So Bhagavad Gita, unless we have not learned properly, we will never be able to understand, appreciate, and then to explain others the knowledge of Bhagavatam, the pastime. Because Bhagavatam will contain the case studies of of the devotees who have followed this principle, the same principle. So the principles are same in Krishna 9 chapter, 7 chapter, both chapter. He confirms that there is nothing more to be learned after. If you learn this properly, there is nothing more to be learned in terms of in terms of principles. But the pastimes will come. Pastimes will elaborately uh, tell you how it has been done, how those principles were actually put into practice by different devotees, and what was their fortune. So these are historical case studies, and those are also important so that we know how they are practically applied also. So that's what. So this is a beautiful example that Prabhupada gives in the in the in the purport, that what do we do having received a bhakti lata beej, हम क्या करें उसका? तो water करें properly, हमारी land को भी maintain करें by not indulging into sinful activities, by following regulative principles, by eating prasad, by 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 doing all the four by not doing anything mentioned in those four regulative principles, and hearing and chanting. So land को भी protect करना है, water भी करना है, so that the seed can grow into a tree. So it is explained there that when the complete plant takes shelter under the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord, one becomes fully absorbed in the love of God. Then he cannot live even without for a moment, without being in contact with the Supreme Lord, just as a fish cannot live without water. In such a state, the devotee actually attains the transcendental qualities in contact with the Supreme Lord. Again, the contact with Supreme Lord, we attain the happiness. When we are feeling happy or stress free, or we are free from our worries, whenever we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, whenever we sing and dance in a kirtan, whenever we visit temple, take darshan, whenever we are honoring prasad, thinking that this is the food tasted by Lord Krishna himself. So there is always a contact with the Supreme Lord. and that contact makes us worry free, because this is where this is what our original position is. And this, in this, whenever we are in touch with Krishna, by while chanting his name, with consciousness, with awareness that we are chanting Krishna's name, when we chant and hear his name, when we look at his form, knowing fully that this is form that Krishna has manifested in this world so that we can render some service to him, and we can become nice devotee of him. And so this is where, so with this knowledge, when we go in front of Krishna, when we get connected with Krishna, we derive immense happiness, we derive spiritual happiness, and that is available to us to experience in this world as well, very much. And that gives us a glimpse of what is the state of happiness that we are, that is awaiting us if we are able to apply ourselves nicely to the process of bhakti, and actually go to the spiritual world where Krishna, where this will be the constant state of affairs for us. So this is where Krishna says that, like a fish cannot live without a water. Similarly, a devotee who is in love with Krishna cannot live without Krishna, cannot think anything else other than Krishna, will be always engaged in serving Krishna. The Srimad Bhagavatam is also full of such narrations about the relationship between the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam is very dear to devotees. In this narration, there is nothing about material activities, economic development, sense gratification, or liberation. Srimad Bhagavatam is the only narration in which the transcendental nature of the Supreme Lord and his devotees is fully described. Thus, the realized souls in Krishna consciousness takes continual pleasure in hearing such transcendental literatures, just as a young boy and girl take pleasure in each other's association. So, again, a beautiful poetic example Prabhupada brings up, and this is, and to conclude the purport of this particular verse. Again, Tushyanti Cha, Ramanti Cha. We need to we parasparam bodhayanta Tushyanti Cha, Ramanti Cha. So if we have to understand, bodhayanta is learn about the learn about Krishna and his pastimes, and kathayantascha, they tell about Krishna's pastimes to others. So whenever devotees meet, so this one verse basically described one of the most important aspect of devotional service, that is association. And when you get together with other devotees, this is what all of us are expected to be doing, to learn about Krishna and to speak about Krishna, and not to speak about the stock market, not to speak about IPL, not to speak about Bollywood, who got married to him. That's immaterial, because this is secondary business. The principal primary business is to develop love and affection for Krishna. And that's where we will be able to learn, and we will be able to contribute if we are regular in our hearing and chanting process. If we are able to derive happiness out of this process, then we can become contributor in this process as well. so so all of us, we need to be hearing more, hearing from Prabhupada. Prabhupada lectures are there on ISKCON Desire Tree. So his arrival addresses are there. Wherever he used to arrive, whichever city he used to arrive, he used to meet press conference. He used to hold a press conference, and he used to address devotees there at the airport, or at the time of visiting temple. So there are multiple conversations recorded of Srila Prabhupada, and multiple interviews that are taken by various journalists, or various his conversation with very eminent personalities, scientists. Those are all recorded. Many of those are published in form of books, but these are where primarily Prabhupada speak about the fundamentals of Krishna consciousness, that why Krishna is great, how Krishna is great, how we are subordinate to him, how we are fully dependent upon him, how we are fully controlled by under his energy and under his Maya Devi. Nobody wants to fall sick. everybody is falling sick. Nobody wants to grow old. Everyone is forced to grow old. Nobody wants to die. Everyone is forced to die. So whoever that person is, Prabhupada says, you inquire. Krishna says that person is me. So we have to accept his position and we have to become submissive to him, because there is clear power asymmetry between us and him. Human beings with all their might also cannot grow a seed in their factory, cannot grow a grain of which can be eaten in a factory. We are still dependent on using Krishna's energies. So there is no reason for us to be proud. There is no reason for us to be arrogant and reject Krishna, because everything is Krishna, everything belongs to Krishna, everything is owned and controlled by Krishna. So knowing all this, we should be always humble towards Krishna. So again, one of the beautiful word Prabhupada has used here in this, that my thoughts of my devotees dwell in me. Now dwell is like a inner home. So we have, all of us have something called inner home, that whenever we have nothing else to do, our thoughts go there. It could be cricket, it could be stock market, it could be politics. For somebody may have different, everyone may have different homes, but process of following bhakti or devotional service, the one of the objective, one of the development that happens is our inner home changes from whatever it was earlier to Krishna. So whenever if we are busy with working, we are working professionals, we could be going to office, coming back, traveling from one place to another, and doing all that is necessary to be done for our for earning our, for carrying out our duties of taking care of our family and ourselves. But whenever we will not have anything to do, our thoughts, our mind will go towards Krishna, will gravitate towards Krishna. So this is one of the effect of following, properly following devotional service, that we will be Krishna conscious. The moment we are free from our work on hand, we will immediately switch to Krishna. The next thought that will come is about Krishna, about chanting, about hearing, about some pastime, about some devotee who we appreciate, who we like, whom we want to speak with, who we go to whenever we are in difficulty. So our thoughts will always dwell on Krishna, and that's the inner home that Prabhupada is talking about, that when devotees are in love with Krishna, that's where their mind gravitates always. That wherever they have nothing to do, they think about Krishna, they continuously get themselves engaged in the services of Krishna. Kathayantascha am nityam, why the other devotees need to be told, because Krishna consciousness is a process at a kadishtha adhikari, or at a beginner's level. One may think that Krishna is only in the temple and in the form of a deity, or this deity and Krishna and me and Krishna. That can be the mood of a person in a initial stage, but that's not a very appreciated stage. One has to graduate himself to Madhyama Adhikari at least. In the Madhyama Adhikari, one is able to see Krishna everywhere, and that's, we've seen the verses from the 7th chapter, where Krishna says, I am the test in water, I am the light in sun and moon, I am the ability in men and women, I am the strength of the strongest people, and I'm the intelligence of the intelligent people. Everything comes from me. Mata smriti jnanam apohanam cha. The knowledge comes from me. Smriti, memory comes from me. And remembrance, power to remember, that also comes from me. So everything comes from me. So this is Madhyama Adhikari. So he see Krishna everywhere, and he see Krishna in everyone. That because he see everyone's, Krishna is present in our heart, similarly Krishna is present in everybody's heart, from an ant to elephant to human to king to a prime minister to a roadside beggar. Everywhere Krishna is there, in every heart Krishna is there. So he is accordingly dealing with everyone humbly and very compassionately. So he's humble to his senior, he's friendly with his group, and he's compassionate, or karuna, daya, have daya for his juniors, for his subordinates, those who are dependent upon him. And that way they delight they delight in sharing the Krishna consciousness with everyone. They not only relish themselves, but after relishing, they want to share it with everyone. And in order to share, we need to possess something. And our possessions can come and grow when we put in effort to read and hear continuously. And so this is what I request everyone to take up reading of Bhagavad Gita scriptures, attend the reading sessions. The reading sessions to that extent are extremely helpful. Every day somebody else is reading on our behalf, taking pains to come online and read through the chapters, even though they might not be discussing. Some of them might not be discussing those chapters, but it's important. It's what I should be doing. I should be here reading those books myself, but if I'm not able to read, let me at least hear from others, those who are reading, even though they might not be explaining every verse of it. But that's also important. And when we have something, then we can share it with others. When we have nothing, we cannot share it anything with others. So in order to be able to share, we should possess. That possessions comes from the by this hearing and chanting. By chanting comes the realizations, and by hearing our knowledge grows. So this is how we will summarize, and then we'll move to the question answer. So only 1 out of million soul will learn about Krishna by the mercy of Krishna and his devotees. And then he's learning about Krishna. People, a lot of people come in touch with us, they learn about Krishna, and then they go away. They go away doing their own things which they used to do. Now their spiritual practice has started, but it has not progressed. So one has to take action. Just by learning Krishna is not enough. One has to act on that knowledge also. So by acting means he has to start performing devotional service to Lord carefully under the guidance of devotees. Experience spiritual happiness. Pratyaksha avagamam dharmyam susukham kartum avyayam. So performance of devotional service will give you happiness. Any contact with Krishna will make you worry free, will take away all your worries. Any contact with Krishna will give you happiness. And once you experience that spiritual happiness, um, one what will happen is you will relish it yourself. Your faith will become deepen, and you will become converted into nishtha. Faith or the shraddha will become nishtha. Faith will become conviction. And then you will, by nature, human wants to share happiness. And happiness is something, when you share, it grows. And sorrow, when you share, it reduces. And that's just the nature of it. So once you become more happy, you want to share that happiness, and for that you take extra effort to share it with others. So you go out for book distribution, you go where you speak with your loved one about it. You explain them the philosophy, you explain them, try and convince them. You start getting into conversations with your friends about this Krishna consciousness, and how you find it so awesome and so beneficial to regain your state of mind, to regain your peace of mind, to regain happiness of your mind. You're feeling happy, and if you're feeling happy, nobody can deny that. And you're to regain the better control on the senses that you have, to regain your ability to deal with temptations or tempting situations that we may get into, to to, to gain our ability to deal with anger, and so many things we benefit out of following the process of bhakti. But the most importantly, we develop love for Krishna. All those become the side effects, but if we develop love for Krishna, we will follow bhakti 24/7. We will want to become devotee, remain devotee 24 hours, and also we want to share it with others. So this in this process, he experienced immense joy and delight in bringing one soul at a time towards Krishna, selflessly for Krishna's pleasure. So this is again never a mass. The preaching can be mass, but the people, each heart open their door to Krishna at a time. It doesn't happen at a mass level, because one has to, it's a personal action that every soul has to take, and they have to open their heart towards Krishna. Krishna is there in their heart, but they have to turn their face towards Krishna and start and actually start loving Krishna. start accepting Krishna in their life, and that is a individual process. So devotees from outside can be instrumental in showing you the way. Devotees from outside can help you create the facility. That facility that we keep talking about is here. That the hearing and chanting facility can be created, but it's individual inspiration that each soul will have, whether to join this at this time or not joining this or do something else, whether to get up early at 6 o'clock, 5:30, 5 o'clock, 4:30, whatever time that suits us. uh, Set an alarm and make an effort to get up early and join the japa session, because that's what is going to be good for their spiritual growth. That's what is going to be liked by Krishna. That this action will seeing Krishna, seeing this action will love us more, will give us more facility. This is a facility is created, and we need to be inspired to utilize the facility. We need to be inspired to be able to utilize this facility. Otherwise, we can be inspired to sleep till 8 o'clock, as we used to do in the pre-devotees days. And then the whole, it's like the seed is there, the land is also there, but watering is not there. In few days time, seed will burn because of the sunlight, and no plant will come. so so it's a individual endeavor. That's where you need to have a devotee connection. You need to be speaking with devotees every now and then. You need to be discussing these matters with devotees. Unless you're feeling self motivated enough to be able to set an alarm and get up at 4:45 and then join japa, join chad, unless you are of those types, you should otherwise be getting inspired from those who are attending it or who are doing these activities. Because unless that happens, the hearing and chanting process will not grow, will not develop, will not. And unless we do that properly, it will not give us spiritual happiness. And eventually, it's like if you stop watering the seed, it will die in soon, and sooner or later it will die. And then you'll have to wait for the next seed to come with the mercy of Krishna and devotees, wherever you will get connected with those devotees again, and that can be the fresh start. But a lot of time can be lost in the process, and we don't know how much time we all possess, and hence the urgency. So with this, we'll go to question answer session. And
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandat Pranam.
So, session after session, you are not leaving any stone unturned to make us progress in devotional service. Though, at my level, if I personally speak, it's very minuscule or not yet even started. But thank you very much for all your endeavor. You are taking all out. You are making all out efforts to let the devotional service begin at the individual level like me. So it is the explanation given by many acharyas that it cannot happen without the association of devotees or the mercy of devotees. So it is a clear example of yours that the efforts you are taking into cultivating all that. So thank you very much for the wonderful and realizable session, the blissful session given by you. And the Chatur Shloki Bhagavad-Gita is all relishable. Whenever it is read, and if it is heard by a devotee, it's from a devotee, it's wonderful then. So you are giving all the nectar of that. Thank you very much for that, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandvat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Any questions anyone have?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. May I ask one question?
Yes, Mataji.
The recent slide which was shown regarding dwell, then Kanishta Adhikari and Madhyama Adhikari. These are all levels starting from dwell. Yeah, these are
no. Dwelling had a different context. Kanishta, Madhyama, and Uttama Adhikari. These are the three levels. It's explained in the Nectar of Instruction, Upadeshamrut book by Srila Rupa Goswami.
Okay.
So the topmost is the Uttama Adhikari.
Okay. Okay. So we have to gradually grow to that level from.
Yes. So we so the Kanishta Adhikari is the one who doesn't care about devotees. For him and it's between him and Krishna. So he wished to deal it at that level. He doesn't see
हाँ
Krishna as part of other devotees, and then
हाँ
that's where that's at the beginning we may be at that level, but we need to
okay
graduate to
graduate
Madhyama
to
Adhikari at least.
okay thank you Prabhuji, thank you so
Yeah.
much. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Hare Krishna. So if